would die. Hold one. Andre. Yes! From out of nowhere. Hold two. Armbar.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy?
Still got 200 more.
This is Robbie Eagles.
This is the loosest in Australian wrestling, Adam Brooks.
Hi, this is Mimic. This is 5 times the world's heavyweight champion, the Scrap Daddy himself, Scrap Iron Adam Pierce.
This is Brian Alvarez, and you are listening to Wrestle Radio Australia.
Welcome to the show, folks. My name is Josh Armour, and thanks very much for downloading Wrestle Radio Australia. This is our first episode.
Oh, yeah!
G'day, this is Big Brody Marshall.
This is Brian Alvarez.
This is Dean Brady of the Millennials.
This is the Jurassic Punk Sid Parker.
How many of you guys have heard the term kayfabe?
Hello, doggers. This is Jay Hunter from OSW Review.
This is Matt Grim Basso.
This is the loosest in Australian wrestling, Adam Brooks.
This is Scrap Iron Adam Pierce, and you are locked in
to Wrestle Radio Australia.
I in the game, I'm champion, I'm Triple H. Undertaker, I'm your maker, bury the brother like Kane. Ooh, 1-3, hit the tombstone, hit the choke slam on face. Ooh, yeah, like a macho heel, turn like a muscle. If you suffer like tomatoes, I'ma keep a couple models. Ooh, and you may call me HBK. When I'm tuning up the band, you best be getting in my way. Ooh, yeah, I'm degenerate, I love it, yes, I love it. If you ain't down with that, then I got two is what you suck it. Too sweet, put your fangs up. Too sweet, hold another cup. Let's be busy, 23, got me feeling way too sweet.
I was trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, and it was just awful.
I've turned chicken salad into chicken shit. I will continue to do so.
Here I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
Make chicken salad out of chicken shit. People is as people does, that's all there is to it. But a square peg in a round hole just never seems to fit.
This is Bianca Belair.
Hey, this is Kevin Owens.
Hey, it's Seth freaking Rollins.
It is the man, Becky Lynch.
It's Rhea Ripley here, and you're listening to Wrestle Radio Australia.
Hello and welcome to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia show where we talk about everything going on around the world of wrestling. I'm back. It's your host here, Lachlan Albert, ready to join you on this fine Thursday night. Well, there's something I need to tell you, boys. Rip off the mask. I am joined, as always, by the man who had to close the forbidden door because it was letting the cold in, Todd Eastman. Todd, how you doing, mate?
Well, we don't do drafts around here, my friend.
That's right. And we're also joined by the man who wants to win the money under the mattress briefcase. That's Jeff Setti. Jeff, how you doing, mate?
You've no idea what's going on under my mattress, brother. Let me tell you that
I don't want to know. Yeah. I don't want to know. Look, it is so good to be back here at twitch.tv/Wrestle Radio Australia, where you can hop on, just like D. James Fortescue and Tim Wilkes have done, to join us in the conversations that we're going to be having tonight. The conversations about AEW, NJPW Forbidden Door, which happened over the weekend. The conversations about Money in the Bank and NXT Heatwave, which are coming up this coming weekend. And more importantly, the Australian wrestling we want to talk about, because we are talking all about EPW Evolution tonight that happened over in Perth just recently. So make sure you get amongst it at twitch.tv/Wrestle Radio Australia, or jump onto our Facebook page, Wrestle Radio Australia, and you can find us live there as well. But I don't want to waste any more time. I want to talk about EPW Evolution, and kicking it off was a match in the EPW Invitational Tournament. This one happening in Block B with Hayden Zenith defeating Elijah Henry. And the EPW Invitational Tournament, obviously a very long-running tournament, and having the two blocks at the moment, you know, really interesting, some of the matchups that go through the different blocks. This one with Hayden Zenith defeating Elijah Henry managed to put Zenith in that top spot of Block B at this point with 4 points alongside Robbie Hart. What did you think of this matchup, Todd, to open the show?
It was a really good, solid, I say solid because it was like a hard-hitting match. It was I really enjoyed it. I think because I was trying to think of if I'd seen Elijah Henry before, and I reckon it was from a while ago. I did a Sunday showcase where we watched the EP School of Professional Wrestling. I always get the acronym stuffed up with that. We watched one of those shows, and I saw him on that show, and he really impressed on it. And he did the same again on this match. He's it's a large dude, but some of those shots that those guys were trading were fairly solid.
Absolutely. Jeff?
Excellent. Great opener. Really good. I like the 10-minute gimmick, and I think that's good for an opener. If you give people a match that they know how long it's going to be, they might talk for a minute or two, but around that 7, 6, 5 minute mark, they shut up and just watch. And, you know, we all know wrestling fans want to talk a little bit during the first match, which is why it's often a banger. And this certainly was, you know, Zenith is such a talent. Like we have extolled the virtues of Zenith before on this program, and we'll continue to do so because he's such a good talent, such a good hand, as they say, in the ring. And clearly he's now beginning to step up into a bit more of a senior role. I'd be very surprised if we don't see him with gold or like taking this tournament out.
That was, I guess, one of my two little criticisms about this match. One was that I kind of thought it was a bit of a foregone conclusion that Zenith would be taking this one out, because I do see him, you know, at the top of that side of the tournament, whereas I see Elijah Henry, you know, probably towards the bottom. At the moment, you know, it's Robbie Hart and Hayden Zenith on the top of that side of the bracket. That's kind of the way I see that going forward. So I was honestly surprised by how much I enjoyed Elijah Henry in this match and how believable he made his side of it, which is a credit to Daddy Cool as well. The other thing was Hayden Zenith. Go, Todd.
Sorry. Am I weird in saying he reminds me a little bit of like a Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen type, like Elijah Henry, just the way his style and he's sort of like
his body shape,
just the way he handles himself in the ring. It's like that. That's like it. I think that tweaked a memory in me. Just like, oh, he looks like a really like a sort of like an unpolished version, if you would, of those guys, of that guy.
Yeah, I agree. The only other criticism I had was Hayden Zenith was doing a bit of an eye patch gimmick after being misted by Robbie Hart previously, and I could see the eye patch was just not quite staying in place for him, not quite where he wanted it to be. There were times where it was a little bit up and you could see that he could kind of see through the bottom of it. And it's like, I like the idea behind it. I think if you're going to do that, run around with the eye patch first, see if you're going to be able to have it on for a match, because I think it was more distracting than anything else.
Yeah.
I like the storytelling.
PCO how he did it for ages.
Yep, exactly. Like, yeah, that was just a bit of a distraction for me in what was otherwise a really good opener, I thought. And
I don't really think it was a distraction for you. I think it was a distraction for Zenith as well, and that's a little bit telling. You know what I mean? Like if it's like when Ray's mask isn't on properly, you'll see him through the match just going, you know, trying to fix it. And I think it was the same here. Zenith was clearly a little bit thrown off. So, you know.
Absolutely. And then moving forward after that, another great match with the team of TMD, well, not really TMDK, Damian Slater and the Warboy Dustin Connors coming up against the team of James Hartness and EPW original Tyler Jacobs. Slater and Connors managing to come out on top here, which led to... it was due to a tap out by Tyler Jacobs, which led to some contention after the match between Hartness and Jacobs. Jeff, what did you think of this tag team contest?
I really like this. I think Hartness has so much talent and ability. You know, we say it a lot. He's a unique kind of character, a different kind of look. And I think that he's really, really got a lot. The team of he and Connors really gel well. But that's, you know, I also really like Hartness and Jacobs. I'd like to see Hartness and Slater have one-on-one matches, because I think that that's probably what this is leading to a little bit. Like, it's probably leading to a longer term feud, which I think could be really good. You know, for everything you say about Slater, he's actually making a lot of stars now for EPW. Just look at what he did with Jesse Lambert. He's really made Jesse a star. And it's a credit to Slater that he has the ability to make stars. It's not saying Pitt doesn't. Pitt certainly does as well, but Slater seems to just go to that point. I really like this. I thought this was great.
Yeah, Todd?
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I don't know if this is not leading to maybe even like Hartness and Jacobs going at it and eventually becoming like a fully fledged tag team is where I see it more going, because I can see Slater being busy with like Solomon coming up. So as we'll talk about later on in the card.
That is a thing
too. Connors reminds me so much of Kaiser. He's got that same sort of look, and he's sort of like
Kaiser energy.
He's sort of like like Slater's Gunther to his Kaiser. That's the way it felt when I watched this match, and it's sort of like yeah, it's just I enjoyed it. They've like Slater's obviously bringing this kid along in a different way that he's bringing along, like you said before, like Jesse Lambert and like other people. He's bringing this kid along in a different way for that. So I think it's really good. I thought it was a really good match. It was a good classic, like Slater would send Connors in there to get his ass kicked and then tag himself in to show him that he's the guy that's in charge, not fucking Connors. Connors not. Like, especially even at the end when they won and Slater sat up on the apron and Connors went to sit up on the apron and he stopped him. He goes, "No, you haven't earned the apron. You don't get to sit on the apron yet, kid." Yeah. These little touches, which really makes it the whole package.
It strikes me as incredible that we're two matches in, and you can already see the absolute class that EPW has. Like, their roster is just fantastic.
Yeah, and I like that it plays into what's going on with the Invitational as well, right? Because Hartness and Jacobs are both currently part of the A block for the Invitational tournament. So this was a really interesting way, I think, to only have one A block and one B block match from that tournament on the show. Or sorry, not even that. 2 B block matches on the show, and yet keep the story of the A block going by having Hartness and Jacobs in a match that affects it. And Dustin Connors is in that block as well. D. James Fortescue in the chat says, I think there was a promo earlier in the year where Jacob says this was his last year as an active wrestler. Might have to check if I'm remembering that correctly. But, could absolutely be accurate. And I think what comes of this storyline of not only between Hartness and Jacobs, but between Hartness and, Slater, and then also with Dustin Connors, who I am really enjoying the work of in that Warboy spot. I think this was a great sign of things to come within EPW. Moving on from that was a promo that began with Taylor King coming out to announce that he has been cleared to return to the ring, interrupted by Pete Corelli, who gave him a football as a gift, but started talking about how he wasn't sure that Taylor King realized that winning that title back would mean taking Jesse Lambert away from the people. And then Jesse Lambert came out to basically say he didn't know if he would be champion by the end of the night, but if he was, he would accept the challenge of Taylor King. Now, I was able to deliver all of that info in about 30 seconds there. So the fact that this took 17 minutes in the building, I don't hate anything that happened here. It's just that all of it could have been done so much quicker. And the crowd started chanting, "We want wrestling," even before Jesse Lambert had come out. So I think this promo just stalled the show a little bit, even if what it was getting at was important. And I think Pete Corelli could have been, especially Pete Corelli, could have been much more concise. Todd?
Yeah, you knocked the nail on the head right when you said that, because when I was thinking about it, when I was forming my thoughts to talk about this segment in particular, I was like, well, Pete Corelli works in radio. if anyone, I thought he would have known how to move this along like quicker, but he just kept hammering that 1 point home. It would have had to been 5 or 6 times that thing that you said about like if you beat him, you're taking him away from the people. If you beat him, you're taking, like by the 3rd or 4th time, like, mate, they got it. They got the idea of this thing. Stop fucking beating it over the head. Stop running it. It felt like the promo was just running around in circles until they. You also forgot to mention that that Jesse gave Taylor the purple version of the EPW belt,
the heavyweight title
as well. Yeah, the heavyweight title as well. This was sadly this was a miss. It was too long. Like they could have cut it in half and it would have got the job done. And I would not be surprised if in the back they were probably pulling their hair out going, come on guys, hurry this up, we have to get going, sort of thing. Because it dragged, unfortunately. And it didn't do Taylor King, it didn't do Jesse Lambert, it didn't do Pete any service being out there that long doing that.
No, Jeff?
You remember in February we were in Perth and we saw EPW put on a battle royal, a Royal Rumble essentially, which Jesse won. And you remember when the match slowed down a lot? Pete Corelli and Mr. Thompson came out and spoke for about 5 minutes or longer during the match. We had criticisms then, and we have similar criticisms now because I don't think it's an EPW thing. I'm afraid to say this. I think it's a Pete Corelli thing. They've got to rein him in a little bit. They've got to tell him, get your point across and get out. Because that's what wrestling's about.
He's in radio, and he usually gets like 2 minutes between songs anyway. You'd think he'd know how to do that quickly.
So it's a bit weird. Maybe he's given a bit more rein. Look, I did
post
like...
and get out, brother.
Yeah. I liked the promo. I liked the idea behind it. But
yeah.
Pete Corelli was wasted. He didn't need to be there. It was a waste of his time and abilities.
Well, they're obviously trying to plan something.
Yeah.
Like I originally thought it was, hang on, okay, next month Taylor's going to turn on Jesse and Pete's going to be his manager, and that's what's going to happen. But then later on in the show, now I'm not too sure if that's the way it was going to go.
I actually thought Taylor was going to turn later on in this show. I thought Taylor was going to thwomp him with the belt and Corelli was going to come out. Didn't happen. That's fine. I don't mind it not happening, but a 17-minute promo was just way too long.
Yeah, it was.
It really dragged the show down as well, which is a shame.
Yeah, he put a handbrake on a show that was really motoring on and sort of like, we're going to talk for 17 minutes, guys.
I'm wondering if maybe something got forgotten in the course of this promo that was the prompt to get Jesse out there. And so that's why it felt like it kept going around in circles, is there was something Pete was supposed to say that was going to prompt it. And it just never happened.
Well, it definitely wasn't like, if you lose, you're taking him away, because he said it 5 fucking times.
Said it a few times. I guess what I would have liked more from this promo as well is if Pete Corelli had kind of said, you know, hey, the point here, Taylor, is that they're going to hate you when you beat Jesse Lambert. But I've realized that having them hate you isn't a bad thing. It lets you do more. It lets you be more. Join the dark side with me, and been explicit about that. And then we could have had Taylor explicitly turn that down, which then, if he does turn next show, there's more intrigue there.
Yeah.
So,
it's
I guess
kind of hard because they haven't set Pete up as a manager. Like, Pete had a manager with, like, Chris J. Lazarus. So it was like, he wasn't a manager himself. He had a manager. So if they're going this way with him, then maybe they should have been a little bit more explicit with that. Like, this is what I'm looking for now. I know I can bring the talent out with you. I've got the platform of being on radio. I can do all this stuff for you, sort of thing. But yeah, like 17 minutes. And we've talked about this for too long now. So let's move on to...
Yeah, agree.
We put a handbrake on this.
Back to the wrestling. The EPW Coastal title on the line with Bruno Nitro defending that title against Jay Taylor successfully. But this match had some intrigue because we didn't know who was going to be challenging. as both Rogan Kargis and Jay Taylor were quote-unquote the number one contenders. And through the match, the locker room leadership program, Kargis and Thompson on the outside, got their moments of distracting and taunting Nitro, trying to get the advantage in for Taylor. But with Bruno Nitro eventually winning, Thompson and Kargis came and beat down Bruno Nitro, with Mr. Thompson announcing that Rogan Kargis is still the number one contender and will be challenging for that title next show. But their beatdown was interrupted by a returning Edith Knight, who put the brakes to the beatdown, but also indicated that she was looking for that Coastal title as well. What do we think of this match and intriguing segment, Jeff?
Look, there's a lot there to like. Bruno Nitro is so talented, and the other three, I'll come to Edith in a sec. The other three do their job so well that it's impossible not to buy in. I really, really like this. Now, I'm really happy that Edith Knight is back. She's a great wrestler, excellent, in fact, and I think she'll do a lot in her return. But I think her return was minimized by Taylor King already coming back. I think they flooded it, and I think it would have been better if she'd have come back next month, because she didn't get the huge pop that you'd expect. The crowd were happy that the beatdown was over, but they were like, oh, look, it's Edith. Because they'd already had the EPW former champion return. So I think they could have, they kind of shot themselves in the foot just a little bit. Saying that,
I will say though that the Taylor King thing, the Taylor King thing was advertised.
The King thing,
whereas Edith wasn't.
Well, I didn't know that. Know that. So there you go. That's different. But
I also wonder, Edith has been away for quite a while.
Yes,
I'm just genuinely wondering if there was a big portion of that crowd who did not recognize Edith.
Yeah, yeah, that's a possibility too. Look, I thought this was, but generally, I thought this was good and a really, really nice match. Toddles?
Okay, so match was great. Match was good. Two guys that are working really good, that work really well, and it worked really well together. Here's my problems with this match, right? Going into this match, it was Bruno Nitro defends against either Jay Taylor or Rogan Kargis. We don't know who it's going to be. But then as soon as they walked through that curtain, you knew exactly who it was going to be.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? They didn't build that suspense where it could have been either of them. And it could have been the fact where Rogan looks like he's shaping up to him and then Jay hits him from the side. Then that's what starts that match. That sort of thing. Edith Knight came out to save someone like she was Jeff Hardy trying to save Matt.
Yeah.
Because she came out and celebrated for a bit. She celebrated for a bit. She posed for the fans. And then she decided to run in. It was like, I was sitting there going, wow, she must really like Jeff Hardy. I was waiting for her to do the whole dance. Yeah. Seriously, I'm just like, oh, girl, get to the ring. This kid's dead before you get to him. But aside from that, it's really good to see her back because she's a great worker, and it makes EPW even stronger, which is good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Without Edith on this card, we didn't have any female talent on this card other than the returning Edith. So it is good to see, that side of the roster being strengthened.
The next match, mate. The very next match.
The next match.
The very next match show us.
Oh, yeah. Goes to show how good my memory is. Hey,
he's been off for a couple of weeks, folks. He's a little rusty. He's just a little rusty, guys. Just give him a bit of space. The sequences might be a little bit out tonight. He's still getting his wings. He'll be fine.
We're not going to get the segue. You've got the training wheels back on lock.
Yeah, carry on, Lachlan.
Bloody need it. The Hit Squad tried to defend their titles. Lucas Fantasia and Lucky Broderick defending the EPW Tag Team titles in a tornado tag match against DNT, the team of Chris Target and Michael Morleone. Unfortunately, interference from Stella Nix, cementing herself as part of DNT, meant that the titles changed hands with Target and Morleone becoming the new champs. I think that it was time for the Hit Squad. They have held these belts for a while. They're fan favorites who I don't think needed the belts any longer. And Target and Morleone as a team are big names who can lend to those belts being important. Stella Nix being added, obviously the team's name DNT, making sense now that it's Don, Nix, and Target. So there we go. That's been in there all along. I enjoyed this match a lot. I thought that, you put Broderick and Target and Morleone in a match, it's going to be a good match. Lucas Fantasia's holding his own with big names. I liked it a lot. I find that tornado tags can often be quite messy, and I feel that this one wasn't as messy as a lot of them are. Todd?
No, you're right, and I liked that even in a loss, Fantasia and Broderick really showed a good chemistry together when it comes to like double team moves, and they had all their move sets down when it came to that sort of thing. It was really good to see some real good fluidity between the two guys, which was a really good match. I will say, I think the Stella turn was kind of telegraphed when she came out in the same sort of gear as the other two.
Yeah.
Yep. Like, she came out that gear, I'm like, well, I don't think that she's not there to interfere for the bad guys.
The fact that she immediately ran towards the belts on the commentary table, like, okay.
Yeah, but she was wearing the exact same colours as them as well. I'm just like, all right.
Yep.
Not a big shocking turn coming here. It's just an eventual turn.
Jeff?
But no, it was a good match, and it was, like Jeff said, it was time for the Hit Squad to drop those belts to Morleone and Target, because they can do more with it, to be honest with you. It's the money is always in the chase, in my opinion anyway.
I mentioned that last month, as you just alluded to, Todd. Last month when we looked at the last EPW show. I like this a lot. Stella was working soft heel, I guess is the best way to put it. She bit more of a tweener than the babyface she has been. I think she's got a big future as, exposing Stella's darker side, I guess is the best way to put it. Michael Morleone will never be long without a title. He's just that kind of wrestler. He's a bit like, it reminds me a little bit of Arn Anderson, in that you always knew Arn was going to be somewhere near the top of the card. Certainly he never got the world title, but as Morleone got the EPW title, but he was always thereabouts. And the Hit Squad is so entertaining. Lucas Fantasia is just such a watchable wrestler. And, we can't say enough good things about Mikey Broderick. Up and down, I thought this was great. This was tight. They'd clearly worked a lot out during the day. And it showed in this match. I just loved it. I thought this was great. I really like the tag division in EPW, because there's a lot more that you can kind of do. Like, you could put Kargas and Taylor together. You could put obviously Slater and Pitt, or Slaters and Connors, and Hartness with almost anybody. I'm really, really pleased with this. Bobby McGowan says, Don, the man is a machine, could wrestle a great match with a broom. Yes, he could. Yes, he could. Yeah. I've often wondered why he's got a family, I think, so that's why he's pretty much Perth bound. But I think he'd be a star anywhere he goes.
Now, onto a match that I've been salivating over for years at this point. Solomon Blackwell, Davis Storm in the pen. This was led up to last show, where Stormy said that he wanted someone to prove that they were the future, and Blackwell said that he would shake Storm's hand once he'd earned his respect. The pen is Blackwell's signature match. If you didn't watch the show, the rules are that each competitor only has 3 rope breaks that they can utilize. It's knockout or submission only, no pinfall. And if a competitor's feet touch the floor, they lose. So it's got to stay in the ring. 2 perfect guys to put in that style of matchup. First of all, love the match concept. Adore the pen. I said it last time, and this is it at its finest, where you've got 2 guys who know the technical side of wrestling, know how to hit hard, know how to lock in submissions, know how to keep things interesting while just using ropes and a mat, right? I thought that the storytelling in this match was brilliant. The way Blackwell became more experienced and more ready to lead the company throughout the course of the match. The way they fed that story through the match, like with Blackwell going for the chest hits and then going for the strike to the side, and it gets blocked, and so he goes for the back fist, and then it happens later, but Stormy's ready for the back fist, so Solomon has to transition out of that. I loved this match. The blue lighting I liked, but it was a little intense. I think if the lighting had been a little bit brighter rather than just blue, we would have been able to see, number one, both of these guys have some phenomenal facial expressions, and especially in a match so built around submissions, having lighting that obscures that makes things really tough. And Storm as well is someone who, and he said this before, shows up damage on his body really well. Like chops to his chest immediately flare up red. And that's such a great sign of, through any match, being able to see the competitors get worn down. The fact that the lighting didn't allow that to be seen, I think took away a little bit from this match. On the video. I'm not sure in real life.
Yeah, we don't know what it was like live, so...
Yeah, so that has to be there. But I adored this match. I loved everything that they did. Blackwell afterwards cutting a promo where, number one, he gave himself the new nickname as the Son of God, referencing David Storm being the Godfather, and also calling out Damian Slater, who would, after this match, in a backstage interview, refuse the challenge of Solomon Blackwell before pitching his own open challenge in a match type that he just invented, the World Beater Dojo, which has exactly the same rules. Love that stuff. This is all gold for me. I thought this was absolutely stellar. Todd?
Yeah. Sorry, Nathan Hamlin says Storm's chest was very lit up in person. So, there we go. Maybe it was a camera thing.
Might have just been light balance
I don't know
in the cameras.
I don't know if they listened to the show when we talked about it last time, because I remember that was one of the suggestions I sort of made to differentiate it from the rest of the card. So, I mean, I think it was fine. I do understand the thing, because it was like, do you remember back in the day when they had, what was his name, Sin Cara?
Yep.
When they did that sort of thing. So it's a hard thing to do, I guess, to light.
And then the Fiend
like that,
had the red. And...
Yeah.
Fiend had the red before the Fiend had the red.
Yes. Yeah.
Initially.
Yeah, he did too.
But you're a 9-year-old, so you wouldn't know that, Lachlan. So.
But no, this is the type of match I love. I love a match where like they have to rely on actual wrestling to get out. I don't remember the rope breaks being like excessively a part of the rules before. It felt like they might have added this in for this match. I can't remember off the top of my head.
It wasn't.
It was? Okay, because I don't remember it before. So, but they use that. They use that to perfection. They use that where they both like burnt them out and going through the sort of thing, and that's I love it. It reminds me very much of the ROH Pure. Remember when ROH was a thing? Mm-hmm. That was great. But it reminds me a lot of that, where you can use that psychology in the match as well. And these two did that. And yet again, I love mat wrestling. I love this style. I love Davis. I love Solomon. This was all chicken salad for me. Like, do you know what I mean? It was beautiful. I really did enjoy it. And that is if you don't have the normal tricks of like you can get out the ring and you can work around the crowd and all of that sort of thing. They had to work that ring. They had to wrestle. They had to wrestle to get themselves over. And that was a perfect job of Storm.
Like them, specifically Storm trying to get Blackwell out of the ring to win that way. Putting him on the outside, going for shots on the outside, having him dangle there. Like using all of those rules for storytelling was brilliant.
Yeah, it was just... That was one of the best ways to elevate somebody. Like Solomon's a made guy in EPW now. If he wasn't already, just by his presentation and the way he differentiates himself from the rest of the roster, by having this type of match. If that didn't already do that, having someone like David Storm endorse him the way that he obviously did in this match, and then to line him up straight away with Slater after this, because let's face it, that's what this end game is going to be, is those two locking up. And that match is one of those ones where that's a steak dinner just waiting to be eaten, those two going for it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the path along to get to that match, because obviously Slater's not going to give it to him straight away, because that's just not what Slater does. So it's going to be a nice little a journey to see how we get to that match. But I love this thing. I thought it was great. And different from everything else on the card.
I mean, you've left me with nothing to say. There's really nothing to say. Dave is a wonderful human being. All three of us think a lot of the man who is Davis Storm. Solomon, I've mentioned last time how nice a human being he is. But the match itself exceeded all expectations you had on it. And Andy from Bob Vance from Bob Vance Refrigeration says they put Davis versus Solomon for free. It's on their YouTube. So just look up EPW on the YouTube and you'll be able to see it for free. The blue light, yeah, I agree with Lachlan. I'm also with Lachlan on that one. But it didn't take away from what an excellent match was. An excellent match. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I think they're obviously still trying to refine what works best for this style of a match, which is good to see. Yeah. Which is like, do you know what I mean? They're going to work through it, and they're like, okay, maybe the blue didn't work. Maybe we have to lighten the blue a bit. Maybe we have to go to a bit of a lighter, pale blue, or like what I like is
right move. I just think that the shade that they used didn't show up well on the camera.
Yeah, do you know what I would have liked? And it's because you see it sometimes during their entrances. You know how they've got those lights along the back of the stage? When they point them straight down, they look like cell bars. So if you just left that as a thing, because you don't have to worry about lighting the outside of the ring because no one's going there. So that can be perfectly pitch black and just everything on those lights and the light on the ring, and you've got the atmosphere.
Very good point.
Like, I think they're really close. They're really close to absolutely nailing the concept. Like, from a visual standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. So, brilliant stuff there. Following this was a B block match in the EPW Invitational Tournament. This one, the Great George and Chadwick Jackson from Dos Itzwa. The Great George managing a roll-up victory here to earn himself those points in the Invitational. I thought this match was fine. Chadwick, very entertaining, got an interesting gimmick. I think the Great George is someone who is easy to get behind, while not necessarily someone I see winning this tournament over the likes of Robbie Hart or Hayden Zenith. So when you've got a couple of those guys in a block for an Invitational, it's a match that has to happen where it feels like both of those guys are kind of in the block to make other guys look better. So I'm more excited for them facing the others than I am for them facing each other. But I thought that this match was really well done for its position on the card. Knowing how intense the Blackwell Storm matchup was, putting a little bit of levity here and not hanging around for too long, I think was a really good choice. Jeff?
Look, there was a lot to like about this match. I think Dos Itzwa are such an interesting stable. There's something missing there. And I'd like to see them. I don't know what it is. I don't have any suggestions. But they're very interesting and quite good. This was clearly a breather match between two very, very good and intense matches. And as such, it fulfilled its job perfectly. There's a lot to like about these two. I think, again, we're seeing people who, if they stick it out and are around in a couple of years, they'll be part of the backbone of EPW. Chadwick Jackson, as you mentioned, has a unique look and a unique style and gimmick. And the Great George is fun, and I like the relationship they built a little bit with he and Zenith. I think that deserves a nod as well. So it was a good match. It was a good match, and definitely didn't outstay its welcome.
Yeah, Todd.
No, I think like Chadwick's got some really good size and also ability to use that size. Like he's not a slow, bigger guy. Like he's not like jacked, and he's not fat, but he's not fat. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to describe his size, but he uses it well. He moves really fluidly, and I believe I saw him doing the at the moment they're doing another super camp this week over in Perth. Oh. I believe he's in that camp doing that as well. So he's only going to get better and better and better the more he does that stuff like that. And like you said, Jeff, he's got an interesting look. He'll put it all together. Like that's the only way that you go in EPW. Like you keep grinding, and you're eventually going to put it together because you've got the trainers there that are going to help you do that. So as long as you're dedicated, that's half the battle to do it. So I think both of those guys have got a big future ahead of them, because it was a really like George has already got the crowd behind him just by doing the walk across the rope and all of that gimmick and the stuff like that. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think both this to me was something like, okay, these guys this is very much the like. It's an invitational, but you can see that this is very much the future of the company.
Yeah,
like you've got guys like Zenith and like Hart, which are not so much Hart because he's from Adelaide, but Zenith is pretty much the current, and Hartness is the current of EPW, just about to break through. Whereas you can see these guys have probably got about 2 or 3 years where they'll probably be in that position to start to break through.
And this is what EPW do very, very, very well. They really bleed people constantly to be stepping up. And it's done so well because if you think about it, they almost pair people up and go, right, Mulioni, you're making Taylor King, so we've got that sorted. Slater, you're making Jesse, so we've got that sorted. So I think that there's a lot of...
you're making Blackwell at the moment,
Yeah. So there's a lot of positivity to that, and it's clearly working because you could hear how loud the crowd were and how invested they were in almost everything. And I should add that crowd watching the pen did not for a second disengage from what they were watching. And that's a credit to the workers as well, because sometimes that style can alienate some people who are just there to see, big blokes beating up big blokes.
Yep.
So it's a credit to both of them. Anyway, I thought this was terrific.
And that leads into the main event of the evening, the EPW Heavyweight Title 3-way match. Jesse Lambert defending against Alex Kingston and Marcus Pitt. This one maybe as expected, going to absolute chaos with interference from both Damian Slater and Taylor King, leading to Jesse Lambert retaining the title. Means that we will see Lambert versus King at Hell or High Water. Todd, what did you think of this matchup?
Look, heading into it, I thought, okay, obviously that's what like Marcus and Kingston are there to do the heavy lifting, if you know what I mean. Like that's where they'll put the main event in the main event of the show. But yet again, like Jesse stepping up and doing his part really, really well. They obviously think a lot of him because they put the belt on him to start with, but they're also not. It wasn't really a knee-jerk reaction to do that. They've obviously got a lot of confidence in that Jesse can carry the load when it comes to being the champion, because it is a different animal to just being a really popular wrestler in a company. It's a completely different animal when you're carrying that belt and you're having to do 20 to 25 minute main events. It's not for everybody, like, to be perfectly honest. And his selling and his ability to put across certain parts of a story, like when they were on the outside and Marcus Pitt took out Kingston, and then looked and saw that he was in the ring, like Lambert was in the ring, and it was just going to be the two of them. You were really like, oh shit, Lambert's about to get his ass kicked. And to see the resiliency of the babyface that fight through sort of that, I was like, okay, I know I'm going to have to go on this podcast and apologize, because I was just like, well, this is not going to be good. This is just going to be him getting his ass kicked for the next 10 minutes until Kingston comes back in. But it wasn't at all. It was really, really well done. It was really, really well planned. Not so sure how I liked how much fuckery was in the end of this match. I would have liked. I know that they're moving stories along and they have to do this sort of stuff, but it's kind of the case where you need a little less fuckery to put like Jesse Lambert over as a legitimate champion, if that makes sense.
Wasn't that an Elvis song? A little less fuckery, a little more ability to put Jesse Lambert over as a champion, baby.
No, that was way too long a title for that.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it was just called A Little Less.
A Little Less.
Yeah.
Jeff, what did you think of the fuckery?
I liked the fuckery. I thought the fuckery was fine fuckery because the fuckery was leading to something.
Do you know what my biggest problem? Sorry to cut you off before you do anything. Do you know what my biggest problem with it is? Is it all feels like a lot of these main events now are going with, oh, I saw this on WrestleMania, let's do the same sort of thing.
I think you're being a little unfair. I do. I think you're being a little bit
and
unfair.
It's not like just an EPW thing. I noticed MCW do it as well. It's just I don't know if that's the trend at the moment, but yeah, I was only just like thinking about it then. But carry on, Jeff. I apologize.
No props. And that's a first. I thought this was fun. There is like Jesse's music finished, and the crowd still sang another chorus of Teenage Dirtbag, showing you exactly how popular he is. I think for a start, watching him in person is something like he's got the it factor. But saying that, I want to see him start to win a bit cleaner. If they're going to keep him as champ, and the next show is certainly leading up to be a big show, like it's leading up to be a very noteworthy show with several of the matches that have already been set up. I think if he's going to keep the belt, I'd like to see him just win a bit cleaner, and not look so lucky as champion. Maybe show that, the P plate is okay, but he can make a 3-point turn. He knows how to reverse back and around.
He checks his blind spots.
He checks the blind spot. Exactly.
This was a really fun end to the show, I think, right? Like, as much as we can go over, I would have liked to have seen this or preferred this from this kind of matchup. Like, I think how much fun this is as the way to end a big show is really important. And you can't dismiss, like we say, flavors of ice cream. If you look at the different styles presented over the course of this show, this is kind of the style that we didn't get, is the big main event fuckery style match with, like, Cody. Thank you, Tim. Saying that Jesse is actually a heel like Cody. Thanks, Tim Wilkes. You're right on the money there. We had hard-hitting matches, we had technical matches, and then this is the big, lots of nonsense going on. I think it worked well for the flow of the show. I think if you were in the crowd, this is the kind of hype main event that a lot of local shows thrive on. Obviously, watching it on video for what we do, where we watch a lot of wrestling, is going to come across differently because we want to see, what guys like Marcus Pitt and Alex Kingston are able to do at the top level, and Jesse Lambert showing himself as that champion rather than winning based on fuckery. But for the people in the crowd that night, I think that this is kind of a perfect cap to a show. And so if you want to experience it, head on over to Vimeo. You can find EPW from the Vault at vimeo.com. It's $5 to buy this show, $2.50 to rent it. And if you want to check out, you want a taste of it, that Solomon Blackwell Davis Storm pen match is on YouTube for free. So go to YouTube, search for EPW, and then slap down, honestly, a ridiculously cheap amount of money to get this show on Vimeo. Like $2.50 to watch this show, or $5 to be able to watch it as many times as you like forever. Craziness.
Or I think it's like $9 a month if you wanted to just sub to it.
Yeah,
so
just have the subscription.
That's with the whole back catalogue.
Yeah. That's crazy. And if you are in Perth, you can go to epwperth.com to get tickets for Hell or High Water, which is on Saturday, the 10th of August at Cannington Exhibition Centre and Showgrounds, as well as their School of Pro Wrestling show coming up soon that we will talk about in a moment. Because while EPW Evolution, I think overall was a great show. Do we agree, boys? Any other closing thoughts on the show?
No, I thought it was great. If you can't spare $2.50 or $5 to watch this show, then turn off now. I'm sorry, I don't. Go and watch this fucking show.
Hang on,
what's that, mate?
To be fair, we are in a cost of living crisis.
No, we just all got money. We just all got extra money this week.
Sure. Everyone got more money this week. I'm pretty sure
everyone got more money this week, brother.
Who are wrestling fans got more money. Look,
y'all got more money.
The point is,
an average of $20, mate. You can afford fucking $2.50. All right.
The point is, if you can afford to watch it, drop some coin on this because it's a really good show. There you go.
Absolutely. If you're not in a position to do that, jump on YouTube and watch Storm and Blackwell because it was bloody brilliant.
It was excellent.
There was the comment earlier in the chat about Davis Storm's potential opponent. Where was that so I can highlight it? Was it D. James Fortescue, I think? No, I'm wrong. I've lost it. Oh, well. I'm bad at this. Training wheels are back on, clearly.
Well, well, we have one more. Okay. I just thought this was excellent. And I'm looking forward to so much about the next EPW show, Hell or High Water. I hope my work place takes me to Perth for a weekend, so I can coordinate it with that weekend, and off I go.
They've really hit there. Like this year has been a really good year for them, like show wise,
especially after the injury. Don't forget Taylor King got injured. He was going to be their champ.
Yeah,
Andy from Bob Vance Fridges. Andy from Bob Vance Fridges said also someone needs to book Solomon versus Royce Chambers. I might never recover. That's the comment I was looking for. And
we got to wait for Chambers to recover first.
Once Chambers comes back, that's what we want. I got to have one dream match on the fire for Sol at any given time.
Now move me to the middle because I need to host this bit. So
alrighty,
move me to the middle.
There we go.
Right,
Mr. City.
I nearly did it in that is juggling man.
Gentlemen, you were both at World Series Wrestling over the weekend on Friday night up there in Brisbane. I've seen some photos of your head between some bloke's legs. I don't want to,
as usual.
That's interesting. No further comments needed, and they weren't Edward Dusks. So, but nonetheless, what was that like, fellas? I mean, Todd, you managed top tier as baby faces.
And had to wear maroon, which just killed me. Look, before I talk anything about it, I have to give a massive shout out to Lachlan because for what people didn't like, Lachlan wasn't on the show for us this week, last week, because he was crook as a dog. He was crook as a dog all week in bed. So not only that, he dragged himself to World Series because he wanted to do the play-by-play, and it's a huge thing, which is cool. But then they're like, oh, can you also do the ring announcing? So he stepped up, he did ring announcing, he did play-by-play, huge effort for the kid, and did really, really well on the show as it was, because he is really good. So well done, my friend. Even introduced me as from World Series, from Wrestle Radio Australia, because he thought the best manager everything might get me booed. I got booed anyway, brother.
The Brisbane crowd knows to boo Todd. That was always going to happen. Was worth a shot, though. Yeah, so it was tough. I had a sore enough throat that I didn't want to do the podcast the night before, knowing I was going to be on commentary and then getting ring announcing thrown at it too. Alex Fireheart said Lachlan definitely had to basically shout his lungs out to be heard half the time doing intros. Lovely meeting you there as well, Alex. You know, good to see you there, mate. So it was an awesome time. Todd, do you want to talk about your experience and then I'll wrap up a little as well?
I just enjoy those shows because I know that how much like the local guys, the local people that are on the show get out of it. Like Bobby and Yeet had a really good match with Irie. That was a really good match. I think that like speaking as I guess trying to be as down the middle as possible, I think that Top Tier and the Prayer had a really fucking good match. That was a really good tag team match. So I think they fucking killed it. Eugenie came in at the last minute to have a match against Lena Cross, and she did really well as well. So she was an absolute bundle of nerves backstage. So we couldn't figure out why she just kept hanging around us. It was the fact that she was nervous as shit. So she was really worried, but she did really well. It was funny.
Like not to take anything away from Eugenie, you know I am a fan of her stuff, but Lena Cross is going to get a good match out of anyone. She's such a talent.
Yes.
And so, but my point is, she's in there with the right opponent, nerves or not. She's in there with the right opponent.
Exactly. So Alex Fireheart said good tag match, but the crowd, they're the dickheads that kind of made me leave certain promotions because I was just over there them trying to take a show over. It really does annoy me at times. But there was one point during the main event where the guys, the roster can actually sneak out into there's like a little nook where we can watch the show. And I was standing next to Tim and Mitch, and we were watching it was the intro to the main event. And I remember leaning over to Mitch and I was like, do you think 2 years ago Lachlan thought he'd be moving out of the way so Dolph Ziggler could climb the turnbuckle while he was announcing a live pay-per-view to the rest of the world, when he was sitting in the front row just heckling people? And Mitch is like, I don't think you thought that was happening, Tony.
Almost got hit by Nick Nemeth. Was very close.
Yes.
But yeah, and
that's for me. That's the thing, because like honestly, and we talked about this off air. Doing those shows for me isn't amazing from a character point of view, because I'm not doing my normal Todd Eastman shtick. I can't go out there and rile the crowd up. I can't do that because we're never bad guys on those shows. We're always the good guys. So for me, it's not about that. It's about watching the other guys and seeing those other guys get that chance to show not only a massive crowd. I think it was 700-800 people there that show, to show a massive crowd how good they are as compared to people that are some of the best internationals in the world, but also like get to live out the stuff that they've been wanting to do since they were kids. Get in the ring with guys like Irie, get in the guys with like, as much as the Prayer aren't signed anywhere, they are the best tag team in the country. I don't think there's much of an argument. You can't really argue too much about it. There are guys that are on that sort of level, like the Velocities, of course, and the Untouchables, of course, but the Prayer are the ones that are doing it around the country, everywhere, and impressing everywhere. And to see Mitch and Tim be able to hang with those guys and not look out of place at all, and to see like Yeet and Mick and Bobby not look out of place at all with internationals, is just that for me makes that experience amazing. It's not so much a me thing, it's a them thing. I love watching those guys being able to do that stuff.
And that is why, look, a couple of people have commented, Andy, Bob from Andy Vance Refrigeration. I really loved the Melbourne venue, but the venue felt flat. And beyond Erie versus TJP, just didn't feel like they'd brought any the level of top indie talent this time, just recent WWE releases. But one thing that the WSW team have done really well is spotlight Australian wrestlers. And they continue to do so. Sure, They might not spotlight the same people every show. They used to have Conco Davidson there a fair bit. But
he did commentary on the Sydney show.
Oh,
him
lovely.
And Fudge.
Lovely.
Him and Fudge commentate the Sydney shows.
Wow. That'd be hilarious. Those two idiots. Yeah. That'd be so funny.
Look, it was just a joy to be there as well. Like, because I fully agree. Like, I had the best seat in the house for that show. And for me, the matches that stood out were the ones with the local guys, right? The triple threat match with Bobby and Yeet and Irie, like, that was an absolute... I was just on commentary with Renegade, and we were just giggling the whole way through it, trying to be heard on commentary over just pure joy in that match, because it was just big guys throwing bombs at each other. It was a delight.
It really was.
Irie pile drove Bobby Bishop onto Yeet Stevens. Like, that's the kind of match that it was, right?
Yeah.
And the tag match was just unreal, which I think I said to Mitch Ryder after the show, the meanest thing I can say about that match was, I've seen you guys do that before. Like, it was just brilliant, because those are two teams that always perform at a super high level. And, you know, there were matches where it was international versus international that weren't as good as the tag match with 4 Aussie guys and Todd standing on the outside. You know, so that's huge.
I will say, though, big shout out to those internationals, because a few of them didn't even get in until that morning because there've been flight delays, because there was a big hurricane and stuff going through Florida. So a lot of them had their flights delayed. And I think Matt Cardona almost flew to Adelaide by mistake. So that was...
Steph DeLander was ready to go to Adelaide. Yeah, but a few things to shout out is the champions at the end of the events. We've got a new World Series heavyweight champion in Nick Nemeth, a women's champion in Ash by Elegance. The Pareja managing to retain the tag titles through the entirety of the tour, and our new World Series Wrestling Australian champion, Shigehiro Irie, managing to beat on his 10th match for the title, TJP, who had been on just a stellar run with that belt and always putting on great matches. That was the opening contest in Brisbane, was TJP, Brian Cage, and Jack Cartwheel in a triple threat, which is such a fun mix of styles that was just a delight to watch. So big shout out to World Series Wrestling. You can find everything from the World Series Wrestling Most Wanted Tour at Triller TV. If you go to fight.tv, you'll still get there, but Triller TV has all 4 shows, which you can buy as a bundle. There's some awesome stuff there. You will have to put up with my voice for the Brisbane show, but look, for that level of wrestling, it's absolutely worth it, let me say.
How many times did you say for me?
A couple. and 1 or 2 huges just for you, Todd.
Nice.
Did you do a now here's the thing.
Probably. I wasn't paying attention.
I think we should move on, just because we are quite time poor tonight.
So let's talk about the other shows that are going to be happening in Australia coming up this weekend. If you're in the ACT, Slam Pro Wrestling League Slam Academy is on Saturday, July 6th. New South Wales has Newcastle Pro Wrestling's Rumble in the Jungle tomorrow night, Friday the 5th of July. And PWA has Let Them Fight 3 on Saturday, July 6th. Here in Queensland, you can catch UPW's Over the Top 7. That's going to be on Saturday night, July 6th. In South Australia, Riot City Wrestling's got Heavy is the Crown on Saturday, July 6th at Goodwood Community Centre. I would make your way to that one to see.
Go and sell that place out.
Absolutely. The last match for some time on home soil for Delta, taking on her brother. That one is going to be an absolute belter as well. If you're over in in Western Australia, Explosive Pro Wrestling's School of Pro Wrestling has Game Over on Friday the 5th and Saturday the 6th. And Victoria, you can see BCW 58 and 59 on the 5th and the 6th. As well, coming up in Victoria is going to be Renegades We Choose Violence at the end of the month, Sunday, July 28th at Northcote Theatre. And as we mentioned before with EPW next month, Hell or High Water on the 10th of August. That's a Saturday in Perth. So we are absolutely chock-a-block with great Australian wrestling.
But before you jump in, that EPW this weekend, they will have a lot of interstate talent on it as well. Because they're the guys that are over from the
camp.
Yeah. So I've heard some sneaky matches that are supposedly happening, and that'll be a show worth getting to. Like, they haven't been advertised, but trust me, there's going to be some good matches on there that you'll enjoy seeing.
Look,
so if you're in Perth, go and check it out.
Some of the talent that has been announced, like even the local guys, but, you know, special shout out to guys like Andre Irons from Queensland, who's going to be over there. Like, you know, a lot of Bojack on the socials, says D. James Fortescue. There's going to be some really exciting stuff on that card, as there is going to be everywhere in Australian wrestling. So if you want to keep up with it, the best thing you can do is subscribe to Wrestle Radio Australia on the podcast platform of your choice. It's free. Do it wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us at twitch.tv/Wrestle Radio Australia. Subscribe if you want to, you know, help us keep this thing running, and follow us at, what are we? Wrestle Radio AU on X and Instagram. Training wheels, okay? Training wheels. But we've got a lot more to talk about with Money in the Bank and Heatwave and the Forbidden Door. So we're going to be talking about all of that right after this.
And heavy is the crown, it's no count out, no disqualifications, no games.
I always knew that if I were to have my last match here for whatever reason, that it was going to be with my brother. He's the reason I started wrestling in the first place, so it just made sense. But I thought it was going to be out of respect, out of love. All I ever wanted was to wrestle with my brother, and we got that. We got to be tag team champions twice. Not a lot of brothers and sisters can say that. And I knew that for whatever reason, that we were to go our separate ways. It wasn't going to be this big dramatic breakup, and we weren't going to turn on each other. And we didn't. We supported each other. I went to go for the RCW Championship, and Dean went to go for the Emerald Crown. Hell, Dean was there when I won the RCW Championship. But somewhere along the line, you changed, Dean. You stopped being the brother that I knew you to be. You started sabotaging. You started purposefully injuring the roster, joining the old guard, following Chris Basso. And you say that I'm the bad guy, that I turned my back on you. And you know what? Maybe I did, because I couldn't agree with the decisions that you were making and the hurt that you were causing RCW. But worst of all, you were hurting me. At the beginning of my career, you told me to worry about the Barons, the Redshaws, the Mike Boomers, but I should have been worried about you. You're my big brother. You're supposed to protect me. But instead, you're getting involved in my matches. You're costing me championships. And now you're going out of your way to hit me with a goddamn chair. I know I said that I was glad that you're not scared, and I seemed all confident, but I'm gonna be real with you, I'm not. I don't know how this is gonna end. This is going to be by far the most challenging match that I have ever had. But one thing I can tell you is that this is my last match in Australia, so that means I have got nothing left to lose here. And that is something that you should be scared of.
There we go.
There
Professionals.
we go. Delta is bloody phenomenal. What a hype promo that was. Beetle Bailey in the chat with exactly the same comment.
Yeah, that's going to be like, if you're in Adelaide, get your asses to Goodwood this weekend, because no, it won't be. I don't think they'll be YouTubing this live. Because the way they do it and the way their production is, they will do it and they will do it right. So their production, their show, when it goes up on YouTube, it'll go up on YouTube the next week. So there's not a hell of a lot of delay when it comes to Riot City Wrestling's like YouTube action. So, but yeah, there was a while where I looked for flights to do it, but unfortunately with World Series coming up and all that, I just couldn't afford to do like that and take the days off for work and that sort of thing, do both sort of things. But otherwise, I'd be over in Adelaide right now getting ready to watch that show, because it's going to be a really good one. And if you're in Adelaide, get in there, support them, sell the place out, and give her a farewell that she deserves, because she's done some great work in a really short amount of time. So, yeah.
Just it's a cliche, the phrase, we will not see the likes of X again. Australia will not see the likes of Delta again. She is a generational athlete. And
the thing is, mate, and I hate to say it because she's amazing, we will, because Australian wrestling churns out amazing workers. They just do. We'll see someone that they won't be the exact same, because none of them's the same. No one's going to be the same as what Delta was, as what Rhea was. No one's going to be the same as Matt Silver. No one's going to be the same as Delta, but they're all going to be just as good. There's going to be someone coming up that'll step up. That's the beautiful thing about wrestling, and especially in this country, when somebody leaves, somebody steps up into that spot, and it's going to be exciting to see who that next person is.
I was trying to say something else. Anyway, let's get back to the show.
All right. Welcome back to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia show, where we talk about everything going on around the world of wrestling. It's time to open the forbidden door, and we do not have time to go through every match on this thing, so I am going to run down the card, and then we can talk about some specific points that we want to talk about. Starting with 0 Hour, Kyle Fletcher defeated Serpentico in a 4-way tag team match. The Kings of the Black Throne, Brody King and Malachi Black, defeated Gabe Kidd and Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly and Tomohiro Ishii, and Private Party. After that, Tam Nakano and Willow Nightingale defeated Chris Statlander and Momo Watanabe. In the Owen Hart Foundation 2024 Women's Tournament quarterfinals, Mariah May defeated Saraya, and then Mystico and the Lucha Brothers defeated Los Ignobles de Japón before heading into the main card. MJF defeating, I can never say his name right, Hechicero. Then the Elite in the form of Okada and the Young Bucks defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi and the Acclaimed. In the men's quarterfinal for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, Bryan Danielson defeated Shingo Takagi. For the women's world title, Toni Storm defeated Mina Shirakawa. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Orange Cassidy. The team of Hook, Katsuyori Shibata, and Samoa Joe defeated the Learning Tree, Big Bill and Chris Jericho, with Jeff Cobb. For the AEW TNT title in a ladder match, Jack Perry defeated Dante Martin, El Fantasmo, Konosuke Takeshita, Leo Rush, and Mark Briscoe. For both the AEW TBS title and the New Japan Strong Women's title, Mercedes Moné defeated Stephanie Vaquer. For the IWGP World Heavyweight title, Tetsuya Naito defeated reigning champion Jon Moxley. And for the AEW World title, Swerve Strickland retained his title over Will Ospreay. Woo! Let's start at the top. Swerve managing to beat Ospreay. News has come out over the past couple of days that there was a couple of reasons for this. Number one, Ospreay wanting to get across that this isn't just Swerve as a transitional title until Ospreay can win it at Wembley Stadium, and also wanting to show everyone in the back that, hey, it is fine to lose to this guy. He is the champion. Just because he wasn't the champion a little while ago doesn't mean that he's not worth losing to. I'm really glad to see Strickland retain over Ospreay in this way. Thoughts?
I thought the main event was terrific. I'll just tell you the matches that I really liked. The main event, the Monet against Vickers was excellent. Sabre Jr. against Orange Cassidy was very good. Tony Storm against Mina Shirakawa was just silly fun, but it was enjoyable, silly fun. And of course, Danielson against Takagi was excellent. But it is not a 4-hour pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was. It was.
But you know what I mean.
It was a 4-hour pay-per-view, bro. It was 5.5 if you watch a 0 hour. A 0 hour that goes for 90 minutes.
I refuse to. At 0 hour, only Tony Khan would call a show 0 hour and make it run for 90 minutes. I think that says everything you need to know. Look, I thought this was fine, but the good matches were overwhelmingly trumped by mediocre matches and a crowd that only woke up for the last match. Really only woke up for the last match because they knew they had the marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it was exciting to see the IWGP World Heavyweight title change hands on American soil. That's very interesting, Todd.
Well, it's the second time it's did it because Moxley won it off thing on American soil. On a
that is true. Forgot that.
Yeah, there you go. I can't believe I beat you on something. Oh my god! Wow! The CTE went back a bit for a second.
He's also training for a match against Edward Dusk, so we've got to...
That's true. That's true.
Sorry, I missed that.
I just said I got too many things going on. I'm trying not to think about Dusk.
Yeah.
Well, he keeps he's thinking about you, mate.
Oh, I know. God. Swerve and Ospreay was like typically brilliant. It was always going to be a really good match because they're two of the best wrestlers in the world. It was always going to be great. Danielson and Takagi was fucking amazing. I thought that was the best match on the card for me. I thought that was really, really good. Sabre Jr. and Cassidy, really, really good. It's really hard to fight against Cassidy's gimmick. Like when Cassidy can, because Cassidy can really fucking work. So it's really hard when you've got to go. He's got to do that like gimmick spots every now and then into the match. But that was a really good match. I'll be honest with you, I didn't really see Monet and Vickers because I don't get Monet. I just don't. She doesn't do anything for me. I really just can't stand her. To be perfectly honest, I didn't really like her when she was Sasha Banks. I don't really like her now. It's the same thing.
Like, I think the AEW crowd agrees with you by and large.
Well, I just...
The thing is, I really like Vickers.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Apparently, Leo Rush got hurt in the ladder match, so I don't know how badly, but...
Hang on, Leo Rush was in the ladder? I'm joking this time. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, again, that was predictable with Jack Perry winning it. Everyone knew that was going to happen because...
But Perry still wrestles like a baby face. He's got to wrestle more like a heel.
It's just... Yeah. Storm and Shirakawa, while it being like good, while it being like the ending, I thought was what the fuck.
It's
the
a
three-way
storyline.
Kiss thing. It's still shit. Do you know what I mean? Like it's still like they completely blew over like Mina hitting Mariah May with a bottle of. They blew that over completely. There was no mention of it. There was no real bringing it up in the match. There was that was just like, well, I guess she just forgave her and let it be.
Someone said to me that Tony Khan's not a booker; he's a matchmaker. I can't remember who that was.
Yeah, it was me, and I stand by that firmly.
Yeah, especially after this.
Yes. I do like how Mercedes Moné came out in the press and said that she's in charge of her own creative and now she's a double champion. I think that was pretty fun. The pre-show, I love Kyle, Aussie as shit. It was just, why fucking bother putting him out there for 3 minutes? There was no point, honestly.
Against fucking Serpentico.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Gabe Kidd, I fucking love. Wasted in that match, like especially when he's the New Japan Strong Champion. They could have maybe found a place for him somewhere on the fucking main card, but to have him buried in a tag match with like 8 other numpties is just like, Look, it it was what we said. It was going to be a marathon, and it was going to be some really good matches on there, but there are going to be some matches that we could have easily skipped, and that's what this show was.
Yep.
Really, really good. Like, there was some really, really good matches. Like, if you'd have had a main event, like a pay-per-view with just Danielson Takagi, like Storm Shirakawa, Sabre Jr. Cassidy, I'll even throw Monet and Vakur in there, and Strickland and Ospreay. That's an amazing fucking show. Like, Naito, unfortunately, I think Naito has hit a point where, like, it's catching up to him.
I agree.
And, like, they really need... The unfortunate part is, the guys that they had coming through, they're all getting taken by the Forbidden Door.
Well, you know, Alex Whiteheart, they just said, dear Tony Khan, shorter cards or add a damn intermission, please. Yeah, let the intermission be about a month. And then, you know, we can watch. Because this was 2 pay-per-views worth. One was excellent, and the other one had Chris Jericho in there.
Yeah. Like, the whole thing where he came out this week, like the other week, and said he books for the sickos. Well, that's cool, but there's not that many sickos in the world.
No. So
you're not really... And then I saw the White Knighters and the thing coming to the defense. Well, if your biggest complaint is they give you too many good matches, then I don't know what to do with it. You just go to work. How about you shut the fuck up?
The problem
because a show isn't about like a shitload of good matches back to back to back. It's about the whole show as an experience. And if you're there for 5.5 hours, I don't care how good it is. By the end of that, you're going to be sick of it.
But Todd, they're not giving us back to back to back to back good matches. They're giving us 1 in 3 that are good, and 2 in 3 that are passable at best.
And I always think if you want to watch back to back to back to back great matches, go watch All Japan from the 90s. It's there. It's on YouTube, right? Like, I like when there's new bangers to watch. But if I'm going to be invested in something going forward, I want to be compelled by what's coming next. If I just want to watch the wrestling, there's plenty of great wrestling out there already. Anyway, that's my thing on it. Let's talk AEW news just quickly. MJF turning heel on Daniel Garcia, giving him the Dynamite Diamond Ring to use in a match. Garcia refusing to use it, and MJF doing a beatdown. We've got a returning challenger for Mercedes Moné for All In, and it is Britt Baker. Speaking of returns, the mystery opponent for Double J in the tournament is Hangman Page, who returned and advanced. And we've got some potential teams for Blood and Guts with the Elite, the Bucks, Perry, and Okada +1 versus Team AEW in the form of Briscoe, O'Reilly, and the Acclaimed +1. The only confirmed member for Team AEW so far is Briscoe. The others are based off a run-in today on Dynamite.
I know.
We've got to move quick because All In's coming.
Yeah, if that's going to be the Blood and Guts show, though, like that team, like, no offense to them, but the way that they've booked Kyle O'Reilly, they haven't booked him in a way that would make him be a credible person to take on, like, Perry or Okada or the Bucks even. Like, Hangman Page was the biggest mystery opponent. Dumbass me almost convinced myself they're going to put Ricochet in. Ricochet is going to be the surprise entrant because he was a free agent now. Like, I don't know why I thought that they were going to do that, because it was obviously always going to be fucking Hangman Page.
It's always Hangman.
Yeah. So they did all of this for Jeff Jarrett. This whole, like, feeling good feeling story, having him in the Owen, which for him is what he always wanted, just to get him beaten by Hangman Page in the first round of the tournament. It's kind of a waste of what they did with him, to be honest.
Todd, I'm not like, you've been calling that for weeks. It's a shame that you're right, but you've been calling it for weeks. And look, I agreed with you.
All right,
but yeah.
Well, let's talk about another company then. Let's talk about what's coming up in WWE, because Money in the Bank is this Sunday Australian time. This is set up with a 6-man tag match. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton versus the Bloodline in the form of Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and Tama Tonga, with Tonga Loa accompanying. There's going to be an Intercontinental title match with Sami Zayn versus Bron Breakker. The Women's Money in the Bank ladder match is going to have Naomi, Io Sky, Zoe Stark, Chelsea Green, Lyra Valkyria, and Tiffany Stratton.
Don't say it. Don't do it.
Go on.
Chelsea Green!
Thank you.
And the men's Money in the Bank ladder match is going to have Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, Andrade, Jey Uso, Chad Gable, and Carmelo Hayes. Meanwhile, the WWE World Heavyweight title is going to be contested between Damian Priest and Seth Rollins, with additional stipulations that if Damian Priest retains, Rollins can't challenge for the title ever again as long as Priest holds it. So until he loses it to Gunther at SummerSlam. And if Rollins wins, then Priest has to leave Judgment Day. So some interesting stuff here. A big difference seeing a 5-match card so far for a show that's on Sunday compared to Forbidden Door. What are we excited about, gents?
All of it. Look, there's nothing here that I don't go, this is excellent. Like the Bloodline match is going to be fucking incredible. Look at that list of names. The Intercontinental is going to be amazing. They could go either way with that. Like, there's so many matches in here where you could go reasonably either way. Any of those ladies could win the Money in the Bank match. Any of those blokes could win the Money in the Bank match. It's great to see Carmelo and Jey Uso, two talents who we've not seen in that kind of match before. And you know, the World Heavyweight title, they've made it interesting. Let's go. Bring it on.
Do you know what's weird for me? And I've just sort of dawned on me watching, like, just as you were reading down this card, is the main focus of Raw over the last month has been Liv Morgan and Dom, and neither of them are on this card.
Yep.
Announced.
No, well, they won't put any more matches on now, because if they're going to do a women's title match,
it's definitely going to have something to do with the Damian Priest Seth Rollins match.
Quite possibly, yes. But yeah, I think Bron Breakker comes does his fucking like Ultimate Warrior on Sammy. I think he's going to. I don't think they're going to have him lose now after the way they've been building him. The 6-man tag will be good because, like, we saw him in the tag team. Like when Owens and Orton did the tag against the other two at the is it France Backlash? Was that the one?
Backlash.
Yeah.
Backlash.
We saw what that was like. So you can add another 2 guys into that. One of them being fucking Jacob Fatu. It's going to be fucking amazing.
It'll be great.
You
There's nothing here to stop.
Really, you think it's either Jey Uso or Drew McIntyre for the Money in the Bank for the men?
Chad.
Really?
Chad.
But no, I don't think Chad's even got a chance because the White Six are going to interfere.
Chad. I don't think Drew's got a chance because Punk's going to interfere.
Punk's going to interfere to cost Drew, and the Wyatt Six are going to interfere, but the person who really abandoned their family in their eyes is Jey Uso.
Yeah.
No, because they're going Chad Gable. That's where they've been stalking.
They've hit Chad Gable already. They haven't hit Jay. That's going to be the twist, I think.
I agree.
I don't know. I disagree. I honestly can't tell you who's going to win the women's ladder match.
My literal money is on Tiffany.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Lyra or Tiffany who are going to win it.
Yeah, that's
I just don't know. I honestly don't know.
But that's the thing that makes this card so compelling, right?
Yeah.
Is so many of these matches, like I don't think the 6-man tag could go either way. I think the Bloodline have to win that.
Yes.
But other than that, there is, I think other than that, every result on the card is plausible. I genuinely think every result is plausible.
Yeah.
Like even every person in either of those Money in the Bank matches is a believable winner. Every one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane. That's completely insane. When have there been 6 potential winners in a Money in the Bank match? It's nuts. So that's excellent. Look, we've also got Heatwave. I'll run through the card really quickly, but we won't discuss it. North American title match, Kalani Jordan and Sol Ruka. Tag team title match, Axiom and Nathan Fraser versus Chase Yu. North American title match, Obafemi versus Wes Lee. Women's title match, Roxanne Perez versus Lola Vice. And a fatal 4-way match for the title, Trick Williams, Sean Spears, Ethan Page, and Javon Evans. It was also announced that Shayna Baszler will be making her return to Bloodsport after debuting during WrestleMania weekend. Also joining her from WWE at Bloodsport are the Creed brothers. No opponents named as yet. A match between Mike Santana and Homicide has been announced for July 28th. Other wrestlers scheduled to appear are Mike Bailey, Masha Slamovich, Makowski, and Akira. And WWE's Ludwig Kaiser says he has broken ribs from a Bron Breakker spear.
I think at this point they've basically got to pretty much dive into Breakker being a face. Just because Kaiser's going to be coming after him, and Kaiser is so good as a heel.
No, because they did it, but Kaiser also blamed Sheamus for it, like storyline-wise.
Well,
like it actually happened from that spear. You know, when they both did the running around the ring. That's when it actually happened. But Kaiser is saying it would happen from something else, from Sheamus.
Right.
So, yeah, it's I'm really interested to see the Creed brothers in Bloodsport. That's going to be really interesting to see what they do.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I love, and we've discussed this already, but I love that WWE are open to working with people, and it's all really, pretty good, pretty exciting.
Turning our attention towards New Japan now, and the G1 begins on July 20th, running through August 18th. It's going to be the first G1 since 2012 without Tomohiro Ishii. It's also going to be the first G1 since 2001 without New Japan Pro Wrestling's new president, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Here are the blocks as they look so far. A block is either going to have Yoshihashi or Callum Newman, based on their final match on this Friday. As well as that, it's Jake Lee, Evil, Gabe Kidd, Zack Sabre Jr., Great Okan, Sanada, Shingo Takagi, Shota Umino, and Tetsuya Naito. Meanwhile, B block will have either Bolton Oleg or Taichi, again based on the results from tomorrow, as well as Konosuke Takeshita, Ren Narita, David Finlay, Hanare, Jeff Cobb, Yuya Uemura, El Fantasmo, Hiroki Goto, and Yota Tsuji. Stacked as usual. Also, the first time in a while that there hasn't been the New Japan, champion in the G1, because normally you do get those opportunities for someone to pin the champ, and that gives them their potential title match later. But yeah, interesting blocks for sure.
Can we just
Andy? Yes, Kenta lost to Newman.
You both know how rarely I take my beanie off, but can we have a moment's silence? I won't now. But can we have a moment's silence for the fact that Toru Yano is not in this year's tournament? Let's just.
I was going to say, how happy are you about
Todd,
that?
a moment's silence, please.
And
thank fuck for that too.
Oh, it's not just a visual medium, my friend.
So look, I'm always stoked for the G1. There's going to be some absolute classics in there. I'm excited to see Takeshita versus Jeff Cobb personally. That's
I think both Newman and Bolton are going to get in too. I think they're really going to try and
get the strong talent in there.
Focus on the young guys this year and just focus on the new generation of New Japan talent, because they have to. They have to, for the sake of the company, to be perfectly honest with you, because and as much as I know I harp on about it with the whole Tony's Forbidden Door just being a recruitment tool. It has been. He's taken Ospreay. He took what's his face from Bullet Club?
Jay White.
Like the guys that were the young guys that they'd had bringing up for forever. and like Ospreay was going to be pretty much their future. Like you think about it, if Ospreay had stuck around with New Japan, he'd be wearing that belt like for an extended period of time, and they wouldn't have had to keep going back to Naito and stuff like that. But I'm really surprised that, like, I know that Naito's a big star and all of that in Japan, but why the fuck wouldn't have you just put it on Takagi? Like, shit, he's won it before, and he's won it before. He's really good. Like, Zack Sabre Jr. as well is another one, Alex Fihart says, as well, that they could be elevated. Because I don't think he wants to go to AEW. I think he likes doing his, like, occasional visits there, but I don't think that's somewhere where he'd like to be.
You mentioned Takagi. Takagi has already held the belt, and he was very good in that role. So
then I don't know why they don't go back to him, because he's not fucking evil. You know what I mean?
Even Sonata was fine with the belt. He didn't draw well, but he was fine. Fine enough that
Sonata
he's getting it
unfortunately,
again.
Sonata's got that thing where he just doesn't have a personality.
Yeah, he's a bit
like,
bland.
Takagi's got the personality. I'm a massive fan of Takagi, if you can't tell.
I agree with Alex Firehart here. They've said it's interesting to see a 2-block G1 after the 4-block last year. I don't think there were quite as many people. And I think also the 4-block run had a few people injured immediately before or immediately afterwards or during. Yeah. So I think it kind of makes sense to go back to 2. I preferred the 4 visually, but get ready for a shit ton of 6-man tags.
Yeah. Keanu Review says Greater Khan should be champion, and if I can find a way to block people in this, Keanu, you'll get blocked.
Whoa.
How dare you, sir? How very dare you?
Oh. There we go.
All right. With that, speaking of things Todd doesn't like, I think it's time to talk about our chicken shit to lead into our chicken salad. Todd, have you got a chicken shit this week?
Why do you always go to me first? What is
last week? You actually went first.
Such a natural complainer.
Yeah,
all right, Jeff. What's your chicken shit?
My chicken shit is this, and it's a chicken shit. It's a selfish chicken shit. It's a chicken shit for the reason that I am going to miss this person so much. But Delta is wrestling her last match on Saturday. I'm not going to be there. I'm committed to being somewhere else this weekend with a commitment from November last year. And I will miss knowing that I can see Delta wrestle live and in person with an extreme regularity so much. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am and how excited I am for Delta's future, wherever it might wind up. But thank you, Delta. I know that's really selfish of me. It's been a good week in wrestling, let's say that. And I wish Delta all the best, and I'm going to miss you. It's a bit shit that you're going.
Yeah. Todd, do you have one?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to expand on it, but I will just say this. My chicken shit for this week will be #We Want Marty. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm saying. So that's my chicken shit, because that kind of made me mad today.
I will jump on that and stay a little bit vague, but with someone returning to managing duties in Queensland, who there's a whole lot of stories about, and a lot of people are not happy to see him back. And I've seen people make the comment, well, this is what Queensland's like, and then they think that they should be respected when they're letting these people, be involved in wrestling. And got to emphasize...
I honestly don't know who you're talking about.
I'll put
this
it in
going to be an off-air
chat.
Yeah, this is going to be an off-air chat.
I'll dump it in chat, in the private chat now, so that you can see. But yeah, so that's going around. I'm sick of it. I'm really tired of, it constantly being people who have been problems before continuing to be issues. Happened recently on Twitter as well, where someone had moved to a different territory and continued wrestling, and some of the Queensland people had to say, hey, just so you know, that guy's a bit of a bad egg, because it was not publicly known.
Oh, and then they made him a champion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that one.
So that's, that's shit. Alex Fireheart says chicken shit. Some of the chants at WSW Brisbane show made me almost walk out, not going to lie. In October, the atmosphere was great. This time around, whoever was doing those chants killed my mood for the rest of the night. Yeah, that's really frustrating, Alex Fireheart.
Unfortunately, Alex, it's a particular group of wrestling fans in Brisbane, and they are dead shits.
Yep.
They don't represent the majority of wrestling fans, but unfortunately, you're going to get them in everything. I hate to say it. Like at the footy, you'll get them. As soon as I heard them, I was just like, it took every power of my being to still pretend to be a nice guy. So, but yeah, it sucks, but you know what? It didn't affect what was happening in ring. Like we got asked afterwards by Pereira, what was that about? Like we had to explain that they're dickheads and they're just hijacking a show for their own jokes. Like it's a joke that like 5 people would know. But yeah, anyway, carry on.
4 of them hate it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Let's move on to something more positive. Let's talk about some chicken salad. Jeff, do you want to fire off a chicken salad for the week?
I have two, and both are WWE connected. Firstly, the main event of Raw yesterday, on Tuesday, was freaking amazing. It was such a good match. It was just 3 guys beating the piss out of each other. And I love that. And the other thing, the Bloodline segment to close SmackDown was one of the most riveting pieces of television I have seen in a long, long time. When Solo Sikoa, I was like reading a book, and when Solo Sikoa went, Madison Square Garden, acknowledge me, I put my book down. And from then till the end of the show, absolutely phenomenal. At 58 years old, Paul Heyman going through a table, not sleeping a night, that kind of dedication is just phenomenal. And I really thought this was a brilliant segment, and I'm all in. Like I'm there for it now.
Yep. Todd, I fully agree, Jeff. Todd, what did you like this week?
Yeah, no, just take all of them, mate. Why don't you? Is there anything else? leave some fucking meat on the bone. Leave some meat on the bone, brother.
Soul match.
No, like I agree with the thing. I will say I am enjoying the slow release of these Wyatt 6 promos, where they're slowly releasing like the mental torment that Bo Dallas has been going through, and the fact that they're slowly showing you they're pretty much just explaining like he is Uncle Howdy. This is Uncle Howdy. Like
they're lucky that the WWE production crew travels with a VCR hooked up to the transmitters. Hey.
Well, you know what though? Give it a fucking break. Do you want him to be fucking like hand him like what's more visual?
Comes out with a laser disc.
Yeah, but what's more visual though? Handing him a fucking USB or handing him fucking?
No, I agree. I think it's
what I mean. It's I just the way they've been doing it and the way that they're slowly. I think I wrote it on Twitter. I would like to see as these weeks progress, like an explanation of every one of these people that are in it, like what they went through, why they've turned, why they're. You know what I mean? Like just to bring it all about, but a little less on the I can get the creepy. I just don't like the supernatural. The creepy's cool. Supernatural, not so much. I hope they lean a bit more away from that and a bit more into the supernatural, a bit more into the creepy. But I'm really enjoying the promos from Bo Dallas. I think they've been great.
Absolutely. I'm going to have a couple of Aussie ones because, you know, that's where my heart is. First of all, that Davis Storm Solomon Blackwell match. Oh boy, just pump that into my veins. I love both of those guys so much, and that match was exactly what I wanted it to be. And then on top of that, World Series Wrestling. Like, Adrian, who is in charge of World Series Wrestling, he knows what he's doing, right? He knows that there is so much love when he brings those internationals down. Clearly, the talent loves it. Every person who comes down and posts about it. Like, I think it was Cardona tweeted that it's not quite an indie, it's some kind of magical promotion that has to be experienced to be believed. Alex Fireheart saying that they got to watch most of the WSW Adelaide show, and massive credit to that commentary team. Some of the most genuine commentary reactions they've heard in quite some time, especially a few howl calls that felt like genuine shock at kickouts. Solid work. But yeah, so I
think he's taking a shot at you there, mate.
Directly at me. Didn't enjoy my
shot at
commentary,
you.
Alex.
Direct shot at you.
But it was such an honor to be part of that show. You know, exactly like you're saying, Todd. I'm just a kid who loves wrestling. You know, so having Nick Nemeth sprint towards me in a ring, like, that's such a wild experience. And the quality of wrestling on that show.
Did you think he was coming in for a hug? Were you going to give him a bit of a cuddle?
I had to make a decision very quickly. But yeah, so just a big shout out to World Series Wrestling, because it was a great set of shows, definitely worth checking out. And speaking of worth checking out, we are here every Thursday night if you want to check us out. You know, just go to twitch.tv/WrestleRadio Australia. Make sure you hit the follow button so you get notified when we go live. Follow us at Wrestle Radio AU on X and Instagram, Wrestle Radio Australia on Facebook. We're also live there, so you can join the conversation. Also, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. It's free. You can do it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, wherever you get your podcasts from. If you're on Apple Podcasts and you can give us a 5-star review, that really helps us get into more ears. And if you want to help us advertise another way, you can grab some merch. Head on over to Redbubble, search for Wrestle Radio Australia. You'll be able to find some merch there, and the proceeds don't go to us. They go to Beyond Blue and Gotcha for Life, two charities that support men's mental health here in Australia, which is really excellent. And if you need any of those links, again, you can go to WrestleRadioAustralia.com and find them all there. Is there anything else we need to mention, lads?
No, it's good to have you back, Lachlan.
It is good to have you back. And well done on Wrestle Radio Australia. On the other side of my life, if you're going to ShepaCon this weekend, the Games Convention, I will be storytelling Blood on the Clock Tower there. Come by and say hello.
And I will be at home on my couch patting my dogs.
Look,
I'll
we
come
listed
by and
off.
say hello.
We listed off a bunch of wrestling that's going to be happening. We'll also mention next weekend, of course, is Wide Bay Pro Wrestling. So if you're in Queensland, come and check Todd and I out on that show, because that is going to be an absolute blast, except no imitations, the Wide Bay Pro show. But look, we've talked our mouths off. It's time to get out of here. So on behalf of Todd Eastman and Jeff Setti, I've been Lachlan Albert. Till next time, have a good one.
Too blue.
Here I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
Make chicken salad out of chicken shit.